Beyonce, exactly what you said. You said Beyonce don't need no help. People look at Beyonce because she's rich, respect the hoe. She's a beautiful woman. She's talented. And so they figure she's got everything, so you don't even need nothing else. But I think she needs the proper accolades because she's an inspiration. So
what if the most infamous interruption in award show history wasn't as spontaneous as it looked? And what if the fallout has been shaping careers ever since? That's the question bubbling up again because Kanye West has been back in the headlines, stirring old stories, starting new ones, and forcing everyone to ask where the receipts end and where the rumors begin. Today, we're unpacking the timeline, the claims, the reactions, and the incentives behind the noise. So by the end, you can separate what's provable from what's just internet oxygen. Let's start with the spark that reignited everything recently. Ye posted a string of offensive messages about Jay-Z and Beyonce's children, which drew immediate condemnation across pretty much every corner of the internet. Within days, he apologized publicly, saying he was walking back those comments. That sequence, shock, backlash, apology, matters for how we judge everything else in this story. Because when someone lobs grenades at a family's kids, the audience tends to shut its ears to whatever comes next, whether or not parts of it might be true.
Kanye West is publicly apologizing. The rapper, who last month tweeted and then deleted a post questioning the mental capacity of Jay-Z and Beyonce's 7-year-old twins, Rumi and Sir, apologized to Jay-Z on X.
The apology doesn't erase the damage, but it anchors the timeline for why these accusations are being resurfaced now and why the discussion is so heated. From there, we have to rewind to the moment that turned three names, Kanye, Taylor, and Beyonce, into a permanent cultural triangle. Back in 2009 at the MTV VMAs, Taylor Swift took the stage to accept Best Female Video for You Belong With Me, and Ye grabbed the mic mid-speech to declare that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. The live crowd gasped, the internet melted, and the clip became instant canon. Later that night, Beyonce won Video of the Year for Single Ladies and used her time to invite Taylor back on stage to finish what she'd tried to say. That arc, interruption, shock, front, then a public gesture to make space, hardened into the official record of the night.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
It's not speculation, it's what millions watched happen on live TV. Now here's where the new energy comes in. A wave of online commentary claims that the 2009 moment wasn't just a chaotic meltdown. It was a setup meant to humiliate Taylor, generate maximum attention, and, depending on who's talking, redirect sympathy and momentum toward Beyonce. It's a neat theory that ties a bow around a messy night, and on TikTok and Reddit, neat theories travel faster than facts. But to be crystal clear, there's no credible evidence that Beyonce orchestrated the interruption, and none that Jay-Z engineered the event from the wings. We can describe that idea as a viral speculation ecosystem, clips, edits, and connect-the-dots storytelling. But until someone delivers documents, production memos, eyewitness confirmations that stand up to reporting, or a timeline that isn't reconstructed entirely from reaction videos, this is internet conjecture, loud, interesting, and unproven. But this is where the story takes a turn.
This is a Jay-Z tweet right here for Brad. He said, "I love Jay-Z, and I do feel bad. I always felt like the black sheep, like I wanted family in this music shit. I run on stages thinking I was doing the right thing." Talking about Beyonce, right? And I would always be a slight hole not coming to my first wedding, him putting Kendrick on the Super Bowl over me or even us.
Around 2016, 7 years after the VMAs, Ye's public spiral culminated in a hospitalization in Los Angeles. Reports at the time noted he was placed on a psychiatric hold for evaluation, following days of escalating behavior and the abrupt cancellation of his tour. The details were sparse then, as they usually are with medical situations, but it's part of the verified record that he was hospitalized and sidelined from work. Years later, another document entered the timeline. In late 2022, Ye himself posted a screenshot of texts attributed to his former trainer, Harley Pasternak, saying, among other things, that Ye could be institutionalized again and medicated into Zombieland forever.
Kanye covers old ground in the lengthy piece, like his next-level creativity and how innovative he is. But here's something new: the Illuminati. Speaking about Jay-Z's Tidal launch, West says, "I heard a comment, a joke, about the Tidal press conference being an Illuminati moment."
The screenshot was widely covered by entertainment outlets, and whatever you think of Ye, the language in that message is chilling. Again, it doesn't prove a conspiracy. It proves that someone close to him used the possibility of forced treatment as leverage. The rest is interpretation. In the years around that, Ye repeatedly framed his fight as both spiritual and contractual. He's claimed, on camera and in public forums, that some recording contracts forbid artists from saying Jesus or talking openly about faith. That is a bold assertion. The key nuance, we have public statements of Ye making that claim, but we do not have public copies of a Roc Nation clause banning religious references, nor verified contract pages with that specific language. In other words, the claim exists, the paperwork does not, at least not in any way that journalists or the public can evaluate.
What are we reacting to? You're the one that put him in a position where he thought he was God and could call himself Jesus. And you're the one told a guy that writes musical lyrics that he was a genius. You're the one that's like, so what do you expect? The guy married a whore. Like, what?
Oh, Lord.
Like,
So when Ye says things like, there are contracts out there where you can't say Jesus, he's on record. When people add, it's Roc Nation specifically, that's where we move from documented statements to something that needs evidence we still haven't seen. And if you think that sounds like Hollywood folklore, wait until you hear how the narrative shifts whenever receipts run thin. When allegations are light on documents, audiences revert to vibe-based credibility, who they trust, who they already dislike, and which explanation feels most satisfying. That's why the 2025 apology cycle matters so much. Many people see those posts about a family's children as a moral line crossing, full stop. So when days or weeks later, Ye pivots into claims about contracts, silencing, or industry plots, plenty of listeners tune out before he finishes the first sentence.
Turn now to Beyonce's mom, Tina Knowles, who is seemingly going grandmama bear on Kanye West after he unloaded a vile rant questioning the intellect of 7-year-old twins Rumi and Sir.
What happens when a snowman throws a tantrum? He has a meltdown.
It's not necessarily fair if parts of his story are true, but that's how publics work online. Credibility is cumulative, and one day's firestorm reshapes how next month's claims get received. Let's zoom out and talk incentives, because if there's one constant in celebrity narratives, it's that every player has something to gain or lose when a story catches fire. Controversy feeds an algorithmic machine that rewards engagement, outrage, and repeat viewership. For fans and media alike, the 2009 moment is low-hanging fruit. It's instantly recognizable, emotionally charged, and endlessly remixable. For Ye, revisiting it reframes his arc as one long battle against industry control, censorship, and political correctness.
Kanye kicked off the show with 30 minutes of good music before taking us back to the 2016 VMAs with words for Beyonce. Yeezy says, Beyonce, I was hurt because I heard that you said you wouldn't perform unless you won Video of the Year over me and over Hotline Bling.
For Beyonce and Jay-Z, staying silent often keeps the focus on the accuser's volatility rather than their own actions. And for platforms, each new remix, reaction, and explainer pumps oxygen into the system. Nobody has to plot in a dark room for these dynamics to exist. The structure of the internet does the plotting for them. So where does that leave the most incendiary claim? The idea that Beyonce orchestrated the 2009 interruption to goose sympathy and momentum. Here's the responsible answer. We can prove the basics of the night. Taylor's acceptance, Ye's interruption, Beyonce's later invitation. We can prove Ye's 2016 hospitalization. We can prove the 2022 text screenshot exists because Ye posted it. We can prove the 2025 post an apology. We cannot prove that Beyonce or Jay-Z engineered the VMAs moment. And we cannot prove they tried to place Ye under a conservatorship. Those are allegations, currently living in the realm of rumor and internet storytelling, not in verified reporting. If credible evidence surfaces, we will update this picture. Until then, presenting those claims as fact would be irresponsible. And frankly, it would let the real, documentable abuses of power in the industry hide behind spectacular but unproven tale. But let's keep following the incentives, because that's where a lot of mysteries stop being so mysterious. If you're Ye, every time you recenter your narrative around faith, censorship, and being punished for telling the truth, you consolidate a core audience that sees you as a whistleblower. It's a powerful position even when the mainstream is outraged. If you're Beyonce, remaining above the fray preserves the brand architecture that decades of spotless performance, meticulous visuals, and tight PR have built. If you're Taylor, the 2009 clip is simultaneously the worst and best thing that ever happened to your public story. It branded you with undesired fragility, but it also gave you the underdog chapter that makes later victories feel like poetic justice. The point isn't that anyone planned any of this in a smoke-filled room. The point is that once an event becomes iconic, everyone learns how to orbit it to their advantage. And before we wrap, there's one final detail most people miss: how our brains reward simple stories even when the truth is messy. The orchestrated VMAs theory is satisfying because it explains chaos with a single puppet master.
Ye's April 10th tweet reads, quote, I be feeling bad about my tweet, but I still feel I gave my life to this industry and thought so many people were my family, but when I needed family on some real none of these rap had my back. While there's been no comment about any of the rants from Jay-Z or Beyonce, her family has addressed the comments.
And on a platform like TikTok, short videos that promise hidden truths outperform nuance every time. But when you actually line up the verifiable facts, the live broadcast, the hospital records reporting, the direct screenshots, and the apology, it looks less like a master plan and more like a messy chain reaction among ambitious, flawed humans inside a system that monetizes drama. That doesn't mean there's no backstage pressure, no ugly conversations, no manipulation. It just means that if you're going to accuse specific people of specific plots, you owe it to them and to your audience to bring the receipts, just the vibes. Here's where I land and I want your take. The 2009 VMAs are verified history. Beyonce's invite to let Taylor finish is verified. Ye's 2016 hospitalization is verified. The 2022 text that threatened institutionalized again exists because Ye posted it. The 2025 offensive posts and apology are verified. Ye's broader claim that some record contracts discourage or restrict explicitly Christian language, he has said that on the record, but we haven't seen a clause to audit, and nothing ties that claim specifically to Roc Nation in a way that survives scrutiny right now. Where we should all be cautious is when a compelling theory about the VMAs is offered as fact without new evidence. That's the line between fair commentary and misinformation. So let me ask you this. If proof never emerges that anyone orchestrated the VMAs moment, does the theory still feel true to you? And if so, what does that say about how much we want our stories to snap into place? And if solid receipts do appear one day, would it change your view of any of the three artists, or would you chalk it up to the brutal logic of fame where everyone is both strategic and surviving? Before you go, here's the quick takeaway to keep in your head the next time this story flares up. Provable facts: the interruption and Beyonce's later gesture in 2009, Ye's 2016 hospitalization, the 2022 text post, the 2025 apology. Unproven claims: Beyonce or Jay-Z orchestrating the VMAs, a specific Roc Nation no Jesus clause, any plan to put Ye under a conservatorship. Everything else lives in commentary. It can be persuasive, but it isn't proof. If you want a deeper dive next, I can pull court filings, label statements versus speculation line by line, and map a clean timeline that shows who said what when with links. For now, tell me where you stand. Was the 2009 moment a 1 in a million live TV shock, or the first domino in a plan we just haven't fully uncovered yet? Drop your thoughts, and if you like breakdowns that separate receipts from rumors, hit like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next unmasking of a story we all think we know.